Good morning and welcome to today's live show. If you're not watching this live, make sure to tune in for just a little bit because we're probably going to do some breakdowns here in just a moment, here in just a couple minutes as the market does open. But this market right now, we're trying to figure out if it can cross to the upside, because if it can't, we might be heading down to a monthly expected move. But we knew based on the weekend that the 30-minute chart is going to be very critical here. The 30-minute chart is going to be the thing to watch early on in the day, because if we get that 30-minute to confirm, we are going to test the high, potentially even go make a new one, and that could be a direct shot directly to the weekly expected move, which you do tag about 75% of the time. Today, we're going to get into a lot more than this. We're going to look over at volatility and discuss those signals that we talked about over the weekend. But we do have the opportunity this week to see a massive move. And if we're not prepared for that massive move, that's going to be a big deal. So we want to make sure to be well prepared during this time, as the market has overall been flagging out in some fashion, I would say, kind of saying, hey, we can roll deeper as we break this certain low. But this wick down here, the monthly expected move, these things are not necessarily saying that downside is the highest probability as of right now. We would need to see some things flip around. So stay tuned for a little bit, and then we'll get actually into the SPY, into the Qs, into the IWM, and discuss the VIX as well. Patreon members, just be aware that the weekly expected moves have been posted, and SMH is now on the list. Okay, so SMH is on the weekly expected moves, and you can get monthly expected moves if you would like to join. That is down in the description. All right, guys, give me a couple minutes here, and we will get started pretty much right at the open. Oh yeah, good morning. Good morning. While we're waiting here, I got to do something for about 5 minutes. So if you guys want to chill, chit chat in there, say hi to each other, grab your coffee, say good morning, and hit that like button. And make sure you're subscribed, because guys, if you're missing these live videos, we do them Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at the open. You got to be subscribed with those notifications on if you keep missing these, because a lot of people are really liking them. So thank you guys again, and I hope you leave a like if you think that you are getting something helpful from this channel. And now I actually have to get to something, so I'll be back in about 5 minutes. All right, ladies and gents, I think it's time for us to get into it. I think it really is time for us to kind of lock in and look at the market overall and see if we can confirm this daily chart to the upside. Noticing that the weekly expected move would say, hey, even if we confirm up here, we might sit here. We might come up to these levels, get some kind of little pullback before we actually start to head higher. But we do know a confirmation on this MACD would lean most, if not all, the probabilities that we are heading to the monthly expected move. Now, that's why we always have the 1% or the 10% guy on your shoulder. Usually bullish direction, you only make a 1% because most of the time the market does go in the upward direction. So if we are able to get a good confirmation and we are able to extend a little bit higher, but then we start to see some signals in here that do not look good this week, and we start to roll, that would be an overall failure of or some kind of trap to really bait you into thinking we're going to that monthly expected move. So that will be the 1% guy on our shoulder. But I do think that as the market, if it is able to confirm that on the daily, then I think this is a pretty simple straight shot to the monthly expected move. I do want to click on something over here real quick. I wanted to double check this because I believe the options were interesting for July. So I just want to make sure. Yeah, so for July, just remember this. For July, we do have the OPEX on the 17th, but we don't get VIXpiration until the 22nd. So VIXpiration taking place after OPEX this time. Kind of an interesting months or during those moments. So if volatility products are not getting repriced at the regular time being like 2 days before the OPEX, well, then it always is a little bit more fun when we see it on the week after. So we will consider that in it as of right now. We do want to keep VIXpiration on our mind, but that may mean that if we can see some type of squeeze here or some type of move, right? If we can actually see which direction early on this week that the market wants to go for maybe the entire month, right? If we get a daily confirmation to the upside like this, and we say, oh, well, we might want to head all the way up to here, then we could say, oh, well, then maybe by like July 22nd, around that VIXpiration, will be at these type of levels. If we instead roll, then we would look for that OPEX to VIXpiration down towards these levels of the monthly expected move of 716.65. But really, this is, hey, confirm up, and most of the probabilities are going to say we're going directly to that monthly expected move. We draw straight lines, but it can be a little choppy on the way up. Look for your little Harry Potters. If we go into the 2-hour chart, you're going, hey, this is the risky signal, right? This is where I just go, hey, I could be at risk of seeing a roll or a test of the lows, or at least a tag of the weekly expected move. And as of right now, we're kind of trying to reject. And if we're looking at this 2-hour chart, well, we got to be paying attention to the 30-minute first, but we notice that we have no confirmation here for the MACD. And that does make sense because, yes, you did have some divergence here on the RSI, but you're so far away from the center line on the MACD, and you're in the first big move above the 5-day moving average. So you want to see that test of the 5-day moving average. We came into some pretty good buyers, and then we want to head to the upside, right? We want to see that curl up. If we can curl up, boom, boom, test the high, go make a new one. This could be a straight shot directly to the weekly expected move. Now we want to consider that our daily move is 749.31. So that tells us if we're not seeing a second standard deviation, this should be the first real resistance point for the day. So you're pretty much going to open up right now at that resistance point. And so considering that we're there, it would mean, hey, if I'm 0 DT or something like that, I might even have decisions that need to be made already. If I have super low expiration, then daily expected moves are what you are going to utilize probably most of the time. Excuse me. I do like the cues here. Now, this little shape up is pretty nice. I don't mind the cues, especially because the daily chart is down by that center line. Where is the better opportunity? Is the better opportunity up? Sorry about that. Is the better opportunity way up here on the MACD, or is the better opportunity usually down here on the MACD? Now, these things can fail, they can reject, But overall, if we get a daily confirmation here, it is very likely that this is an opportunity. It is very likely that you are going to break out of this tightness and see a big move, potentially to the monthly expected move, where we will watch out for any kind of divergence holding these points on the RSI and holding this point on the MACD. If we are able to create all that, we see a similar signal from volatility and we get that divergence, kind of like the tapering off thing, right? We're going straight up, we taper a little bit, then we taper across, and then we set up the reversal signal. So that is something we will consider as of right now. But for the time being, we just need to see if that daily is going to curl up. So the 2 hour chart here, if you want weekly expected moves, they are in purple. And this is a good thing, right? Hey, the 2 hour curl down. All right, we're going to test the low or go make a new one because we're in that uncomfortable spot. You kind of have to say it. It's a little bit 50-50 when you're kind of just bending back and forth in these areas, right? That's some chop. But you are getting very tight. We notice that. We are overall, if we confirm this to the upside, higher low. I know it is consolidation, but as that consolidation confirms really close to the center line while you're tight, you notice you don't have as much distance here to break through. So if you're able to break through, we can see those little retests and be off to the races. We will see if that is going to take place. We have no confirmation for the 2 hour to extend as of right now. When this was curling down, I probably was saying things like, hey, watch out because this can test the logo, make a new one. It's in that uncomfortable spot. And we noticed what happened. We tested directly into the lows down in here. And then if we're able to curl to the upside, that can be a higher low of its own. And you would be looking for what? Test the high, go make a new one. Maybe a squeeze is on the table here. We'll have to see how the 30-minute chart goes because are we very likely to curl up the 2 hour chart right now for the Qs? Well, my answer to that would be mm, 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 well, considering the fact that the MACD is very deep here and considering the fact that we are seeing one upward move to tag that 5-day, we would really still like to see some type of divergence to turn to the upside. We would really like to see some kind of higher low to really be convinced that we can go to that second standard deviation. If the market just goes like this, I will not be chasing. I will look for retest. Then if we confirm again, I can target the second standard deviation. That's how this overall works if I decide to play it. I'm not the biggest fan of trying to play for second standard deviations. I would rather just leave those for runners, but hey, we're all different. You day traders out there who are different than me, you lower time to expiration, you may have decisions to be made for the Qs right now if your options are expiring today. We see here that IWM is the one that's really screaming like, hey, this can get ugly. Right, the daily chart here is completely different than the SPY and the Qs. Are we going to see a time? Like this is what I'm really interested in seeing what happens. Does IWM squeeze through? Do they just continue the party? Because this is totally different than the SPY and the Qs. If this is able to confirm, it really says we're going to try to break this low. That's what it genuinely is saying. It's like, hey, we're going to try to break this low right down here if this confirms. So we'd have to see that go wrong. But the big deal here is, are we going to see IWM show us this move first? And we're going to see the SPY and the Qs be able to climb higher in some sort of rotation. And then as this gets some kind of bounce, right? Then this moment's happening over here, and you're setting up divergence on the SPY and the Qs while setting up the lower high on IWM. I think that would be very, very, very interesting to see if we get some kind of rotation here where IWM is able to lead the market. I think that'd be very interesting, but that won't even take place if a certain confirmation takes place this week. If the 2 hour is able to curl up here for the MACD, would say test the high, go make a new one. And that means that this would be a moment where IWM would really like to squeeze through. I don't think you want to be setting up any kind of lower anything, any kind of divergence again, but the 30-minute chart here is very negative. So how likely are we to curl up that 2 hour chart with the information we have now? We would still probably say low probability. You want to see divergences like over here. And right now we just have a super deep MACD. So if you want weekly expected moves, by the way, join the Patreon at $7, real cheap, and it gives you some of the best information as far as managing like your trades and stuff like that, the best support resistance, the best profit taking lines, and the best lines to pay attention to for great opportunities. That would be weekly expected moves, and you can get those for IWM. We show them off during the live show, though, if people ask. most of the time. This, if it curls up, well, there's strong buyers. This is very good, though. I will say this about the current move for IWM, at least, since we're looking at it. Buyers, great bar. Buyers, great bar. If these bars are nice and green, you will have a lot of fair value gaps in them. That would be very, very nice to see some fair value gaps. And that means that, well, fair value gaps, but overall, it just means, hey, that's an area where we can, even if we stop right here, we can pull back into them and grab those buyers to go again. So I think really with these type of bars, if we can hold them, IWM would say, if I'm going to confirm that 2-hour up, then I think it's going to make a higher low. I really, really do, but we want to be open to divergence as well. That being said, we just went over all of the bad signals on the macro, the pretty bad signals, even on the 2-hour chart with all these divergences, right? You see all those and they held the whole time. That's pretty rough. So any kind of rollover here is extremely risky. That's why I'm not necessarily leaning towards a divergence. I would rather, if IWM is going to head to the upside, I would rather see a higher low. All right, let's go over volatility on the VIX. Now, the VIX, we were able to do some funky stuff here. We're doing some funky stuff here, trying to be like, hey, we have the divergence into the higher low. Now, this would overall suggest that the 2-hour chart is going to get some kind of move to the upside, but we notice that the 2-hour chart is looking like what? It's kind of just looking like, hey, we're getting kind of flat, we're flattening out. Maybe you get a slight upward move, but overall, if the 2-hour chart confirms down, you're very likely going to see a new all-time high for the SPY very soon. So we will be considering that. But you guys remember over the weekend that the one chart that I think you should have your eye on, one is right here. You see the futures here with the 2-hour divergence suggesting that we could pull back right now. I think that's a big deal. And you kind of see some interesting stuff from the 4-hour chart here, but it is very flat overall. The daily chart is what I want to really watch for here. Anytime that this daily chart is able to confirm to the upside, I do not want to be in calls. This is like my number one, hey, the summer boom is over and we're about to see a summer sell-off. I am not going to be in any kind of call. Well, it depends on what it is, but any kind of basic call or something like that for the SPY, not going to be in that if volatility confirms to the upside. Instead, I might actually be taking calls in UVXY or UVIX or something like that. I will be considering those type of things because this signal is great. Now, if we're going to squeeze through, then just don't confirm this up, right? It's pretty simple that way. I can still be pretty bullish. I can have that 1 to 10% guy on my shoulder, but at the same time, it's just a very simple rule. Hey, if this starts to show a little green on the histogram, right? If there's a little green bar that shows on the histogram, I'm just putting my hands up for a little bit to the bull side. I'm just looking at things and going, maybe I'll take some volatility calls just for a moment, right? That's all that's happening here. It's not super it's actually not even that analytical. It's just understanding that this can be a higher low, understanding that this can be a divergence, and these things lead to the weekly chart curling up. And what have we been looking for the past like 3 weeks? We've been looking for the market to create those signals around the annual expected move to say that, hey, a weekly pullback is very probable. And we've already seen the market overall head downward or flatten out as the weekly pullback becomes more and more probable. So if you see this confirm, be careful. That's it. That's it. That is it in a nutshell, man. It is the time where it is good to be very reactive. When you're consolidated like this, when it looks like you're going to curl up and then you reject all of a sudden, right? What if this follows IWM? What if it just rejects and IWM confirms the signal and this all tears down? Well, then your 2-hour is going to confirm down and you're never going to be taking a call. Why? You're never going to be taking a call, at least with good rules, with good, what is it? Good rules, good frequency, good behavior, right? Good decisions, good self-control, right? Not gambling. But if this 2-hour turns down, am I taking a call? No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, we keep it that simple. It's very, very nice. All right, guys. You missed the VIX. Just rewind like 2 or 3 minutes, probably. Hey, a lot of people coming in today. Love to see you guys here this morning. I'm sorry I had to get all of that off my chest. I like to really do a pretty extensive breakdown of at least the indices and the VIX when I do hop on these live shows. So if you are missing the beginning of the video, you can always go back. Oh, I just punched the mic again. You guys know me. You can go all the way back to usually the first like 10 to 30 minutes, and you'll see us start some kind of breakdown just in case you ever join late, just in case you miss a stream and you're wondering what's going on during the day. That would be great. Or you can join Patreon because this week we will have another monthly expected move video coming out. It might be a little bit mixed with our weekly update, but it will be another monthly update. Really just wanted to update because my goodness, did you see this move from Apple? That's just psycho talk right there. With these updates that we put out on Patreon, it will be very similar to how these live shows will go once August shows up, and we're switching like halfway to a members, and then we'll do another one for free every single week. But we'll have the charts more so look like this, where we can actually see the monthly expected moves for the individual stocks, and we can start to consider what's happening here. Apple, we see a daily move able to confirm to the upside. Is this going to make a divergence point? Very unlikely. This actually would be very interesting. One, if we did make a divergence and that actually played out, because that I don't really see that. I see this deep move from the MACD. It's not very unusual, but it is semi-unusual to see a dip into negative territory, at least with some sort of significance, and then curl to the upside, and then make a divergence point and fall flat. It's very likely that when you work these things out and you confirm to the upside, you go make that new high. This move is usually pretty good, and then you reset those signals later. That would potentially take us into earnings, and I don't like that, but I do have to mention that as of right now. Now, why would you talk about continued upside here? Because the 2-hour chart is going to be going so positive. You have this great bar of buyers beneath you. You have great buyers in here, great buyers in here, great buyers in here. So you have a lot beneath you to hold you up. Even if you confirm to the downside, you just took out the critical level, left, head. You want to come down into here for that right shoulder. That sounds fan-freaking-tastic for Apple. Almost to the monthly expected move, though. So if you were able to play Apple, I didn't really see any great signals for Apple, and I do love trading it, but I didn't see anything really great here unless you were following the 30-minute chart. Congratulations, you are at the monthly expected move, and it is probably decision time for that bad boy. Oh, okay. I see. I don't really I don't really pay attention, especially to individual stock news, but that's really cool. There's an AVGO Apple deal. What did AVGO like it? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So this is different. This is slightly different. You do have some sort of divergence. Now, it's not on this RSI, so that's kind of worrisome. But doesn't this have daily divergence? Didn't this mention daily divergence? These aren't the right levels, by the way. Let me fix those. Let me fix these. I was fixing them before I started the live, but my daughter, she kept playing right behind me while I was trying to update these. So like Apple's updated, Tesla's updated, but some of them are still not. So the monthly expected moves, you will get these for AVGO today. So leave a like if you like the fact that you are getting information that's on Patreon. You're getting it right here, right now. 328.82. This will genuinely help you out. That's why I'm like, hey, like the channel, because it is something very helpful. And if you have a question of why it's helpful, like if you are new, if you don't understand these ranges and you have a question of why is it helpful, that's perfectly fine. Dictate, hey, why are monthly moves helpful? Why are weekly moves helpful? You can ask those questions in this chat. Totally feel comfortable, guys, asking pretty much any kind of question. And I am very honest with how I answer things. I try to be as honest as possible, meaning I try my best to tell you when I don't use something, when I don't know about something. That way it doesn't just seem like I'm kind of just trying to seem smart or something like that. Okay, so right away, we see we're heading up to that weekly expected move. We see no real daily divergence here. I really thought we would. It's probably showing up on the 4-hour chart. Yeah, there it is. There's your 4-hour divergence across. Now, I'm not a fan of 4-hour charts, so overall, this would tell me what? Well, we are testing the 200. we are in negative territory. So I'm looking for either rejection up at these levels, or I am looking for some kind of lower high by that monthly expected move, and possibly even a continuation. So we will look for a shape like this if we're going to head to the upside. We'll monitor this, but as of right now, we are not at those stages. And as of right now, the weekly expected move is not suggesting that something crazy can come. Now, just for you guys, since you guys are the best chat on YouTube and you're awesome and you subscribe and you don't miss these live videos because they're helpful, I'm going to give you the second standard deviation to the upside for AVGO for the week. And we see that that is 410.31. Maybe this will help us out. 410.31. Okay, we type that in and we say what? We say this: if the daily chart is able to confirm, like maybe we even get there this week and it's very, very rapid for like 3 days or something like that, and we rapidly get there. If we fail to cross through this high, we still really heavily need to pay attention to a roll, some kind of confirmation that fails. But if we're able to extend and cross through that, on Friday, we still would be saying this is a 5% zone. This is a 95% zone. So this would curl down into this area and potentially give you a pullback going into next week if you're able to shape that up. So this will be a very important move. What can we watch? We can watch the 2-hour chart though initially here. If the 2-hour chart is able to roll, that would mean a retest of this gap, or some kind of new low could be on the table. So now you know a little bit for AVGO. We did add SMH. Now I haven't put the levels on here, so I'm going to give it to you guys. All right, I'm going to give you guys the levels for SMH. Remember, SMH has some major reversal signals here and is giving signs of rolling. We see in the shorter time frames a little right. We see it. We see that it's curled down. We're going to look at the shorter time frames in a moment, but let's make sure to get those nice, beautiful lines not dotted up for you guys, okay? We got weekly moves coming. We've got monthly moves coming as well. Let me get this all sorted. This way you guys get some great information today without even really trying, right? I just really want you guys to be able to have this, especially since SMH is new to our list. 640, 640.33 to the upside, and we see to the downside here. It will be decently close to the monthly expected move, I believe. We'll see 544.25. Yeah, I think that's correct. Happens to be right on my other line, so now I got to fix that. All right, upward move for the month for SMH, 749.58. That's pretty wild, isn't it? But if we make the downside move, you're going to be seeing what? You're going to be seeing SMA. Sorry, we got to make sure to know where that is on the list here. Right there. So your weekly expected move does suggest lower than the monthly. So if you're able to roll lower here, it's a 2-hour chart, confirms and then rolls, and you see a little structure like this, well, then we probably are heading down for a test of that monthly expected move. We'll look for reversal signals here for sure, but if we keep rolling, it's riskier and riskier to keep going to the downside with those daily confirmations of the daily divergence, triple divergence on the MACD, quadruple, not quadruple, lower high now on the rejection over here. So we would overall say the divergence took place in this area for confirmation. So get those levels if you want them, and we're going to switch back over to the SPY, and the SPY is stalling at the daily expected move, exactly the kind of behavior that we would normally see. Come up, pile up, pile up, pile up, breakthrough, right? Come up, dip down, stay in this area, breakthrough, right? Come up, get some green, stay here for a bit, come up, come up, come up, come up, roll. That's how this market looks as of right now. And if I'm pretty reactive, that's pretty good. I've been awake too long. Bro, I keep waking up at like 5:40 in the morning. Like 5:40 in the morning, I keep waking up, man. It's annoying. And the market for me, guys, if you didn't know where I'm at time frame wise, 8:30 is when the market opens. So I keep waking up 3 hours before open. I think we looked at Rocket Lab last week, so let's give it a look, see if anything's developed. 30-minute divergence into a 2-hour pullback. That makes total sense. What are we looking for on the 2-hour chart? We are looking for a higher low. You are looking for a serious higher low in here. You know, 30-minute can violate that by turning up now. But if we're going to get this 2-hour to cross down with the RSI, with the price action that's already done it a few times, then you would suggest targeting kind of this area in here, seeing if you can dip into there, seeing if you can make a higher low. Higher low is very probable due to the positioning here, but you always just wait for the confirmation, right? Look for the 30-minute signals, look for the 30-minute signals, and then you're off to the races. This is pretty simple, but I want to look at the daily chart. Daily chart curl up, we're looking for lower high. So this would be overall looking for lower high. So you can go, pull back, make a higher low, then curl to the upside, set up reversal signals here, roll to the downside, and you'll see kind of something like this take place. If you squeeze through, then that is invalid. Tesla, yeah, I actually have moves for Tesla if you want them. If you're not part of Patreon and you like Tesla, I do believe I have the moves for Tesla here. Daily chart, able to confirm to the upside. We're looking for lower high right now. We're really watching if this is going to make a lower high and roll down deeper, but this is a very strong move. You always pay attention to the strength, right? If we did it like this and we drifted up to here, that's a lot different than doing it like this, right? So we have to consider the 2-hour chart. We have to consider the fact that this is really a big rejection straight away at the beginning of the month, but it is positive. So we're going to have to work through these buyers. This is why Tesla can be so complex, because a lot of retail likes to trade Tesla. Monthly expected moves are here on your chart, but overall, and weekly expected moves as well. If the 2-hour can confirm up, test the high, go make a new one. That's where second standard deviation will come into play. We'll see if we can get there. But as of right now, I think the 30-minute chart being negative is a problem because you have some extreme sellers above you. Extreme sellers for a full hour in here. You can reject from anywhere in here. So if you're able to curl to the upside and hit that weekly expected move, you might be going, this is it, we're good. But if we drift up there and this just like kind of drifts up and then fails, that's going to be a problem. That's going to say test the low, go make a new one. So you have a little back and forth. The 2-hour confirming to the upside would be the best thing to go to the monthly expected move upside. But if the 30-minute can't do 30-minute good things for the bulls, then that's going to be an issue. Is that good, Afoma? That's how I'm seeing it as of right now. Yeah, because if you roll this daily chart completely, then yeah, you can get a tag of that monthly. Like, right, we can mess around, we can mess around, we can mess around, get a counter move, and then in August we can roll. Like we can kind of come down here for the entire month, and then we get some kind of bounce, and then we roll again. Because I don't know if that would make a divergence point. We'll still keep open to it. This was pretty nice. Come on now. Hope everyone is doing good out there. Looks like everyone's saying hi in the chat. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys are saying hi to each other, being nice, being kind, even if we disagree. We're all here for the same reason, right? We're all here to try to benefit the lives of those around us, correct? We're not here to get rich. We're here to support our families. We're not here to get rich. We're here to help our friend get out of a sticky situation. We're here to use our money for good. And that is an important feat. And that will set your mind on some things that are greater than yourself. And we can make some money, but we could utilize it for good reasons. And I think that's a great thing. Set your reason for trading high, and then you'll treat it a lot more seriously. Very nice. Oh, my coffee is, that's the bad part about waking up at 5:30 every day. Coffee's already bad. It's already cold. What money? J-Law's money. J-Law's the one making all the money. Hey, thank you, Ryan. If you got a stock you want to look at, Ryan, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's look at one, man. I'm down to have a little fun right now. Dude, we had a pretty good one. I'm not gonna lie, it's not bad. It's not bad. The only bad part is like having two young children that go to sleep at like 7:30, 7 to 8 o'clock, and then fireworks are up until, midnight. And our new house, I didn't know how it would be, and it is the loudest fireworks I've ever heard in my life. It is all around us. The house was shaking till like 1 a.m. or something like that. And I find that humorous overall. Overall, I'm like, people are celebrating and having a good time with each other. I'm not mad at them for that. I'm just like, dang it, I wish my daughter got better sleep, but just got a good night's sleep last night. Hey, that's all right, Colin. Take it when you can, man. It's always going to be there for you, buddy. What is that? Core weave? Ooh, core weave on the 30-minute looks rough. Core weave on the 2 hour looks rough. So we're still waiting for this one. We did look at this one last week. And we were suggesting waiting for 2 hour signals, probably. Like, you're never going to, most of the time I can look at a chart, and if we looked at it last week, I'll know what I said about it based on the positioning of the MACD, right? We're looking for some kind of divergence. You're looking for some kind of 2 hour high or low to go to the upside, right? You're still doing that now because you fell too deep. You were unable to make those reversal signals. And truly, the 30-minute doesn't even look like it wants to turn around. The 30-minute looks like, hey, I could go into this gap right here and just fail. So this doesn't necessarily look great. The daily chart looks pretty bad, if I'm being totally honest with you. Overall, core weave here, you're probably looking for more lower highs for the time being until we're able to confirm some kind of divergence, some kind of daily move here. The weekly pullback will continue, right? And this weekly is at risk of doing what? Well, it's in that uncomfortable area. So you have to say a test of all these little wicks in here, very important area. We note that if we mark this off, not necessarily with a price action box per se, but just a, what would you say, like a support box, if you will. You could say, okay, well, how many times have we tapped into this area? Is this area very important? Dang it, dude. I hate that they added that. That is so bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that led to a move to the upside. So if you are able to come down into here and confirm back to the upside, everything looks pretty dandy, right? But if you break through this, right, what starts to shape up? We break through, you go to the upside, you turn back down, right? Then we start to say, uh-oh, this can get really bad. And if this, for whatever reason, is a bigger drop, right? We talked about the bullish thing already. Don't let the bullish thing be deleted from your mind and thinking we're saying this has to go down. You have extremely good buyers in here. All you have to do is curl this back up before you break these lows. But if you do break those lows and you send it deeper, you can then use this as resistance. So that's going to be a big issue. It makes sense why this area is so good. You had your initial great buyers at that area, and I really like the buyers here. So I think still watching for the daily to be able to 2 hour to get some kind of bounce, daily make some kind of, maybe you're able to come a little bit lower, then you get some kind of daily bounce that gets you a daily divergence right here. This would be an awesome setup by August. That would be an awesome setup. But overall, I think you're still waiting. I think patience is a big thing here. Unless you're investing wise, I mean, if you know more than I do and you're looking at earnings stuff and you're looking at the potential of the company, are they having growth and things like that, even though they seem to not be that profitable as of right now, you would just suggest, hey, is this a good investment level for me? Where would you look for a lower high? It depends on the time frame. For the 2 hour chart and the 30-minute, you'd be looking really in this gap, right? If you start to do this though, it's different, right? If we come up to here and we reject, that just makes sense. Like this, that makes the most sense here, because you're just heading straight down. But the level to keep in mind is, hey, when am I going to possibly see a higher low? Take this level out, right? Do this, come back, test that 5 day, and go to the races, right? That would be how you know, like, hey, this isn't really a risky roll here. I'm not buying calls if I'm seeing this go like that and roll. Not buying calls then, but I will over here, right there. Give me a moment here, guys. Okay, we're good. Question for you. Do you start at the daily and then go to the 30-minute to see confirmations as you go short time frame? Yes. So normally, if you are analyzing, it depends on what you want to play as well. But I do think before getting a trade, the full picture is very important, right? The daily time frame. If I see this confirm, then I'm immediately going to start to pay attention to 2-hour higher lows, right? So it's still good to look at. It just depends on the trade you want. The daily time frame becomes way more important if you're considering taking a trade for the entire month and you're targeting like a monthly expected move. It becomes way more important, right? A daily confirmation here is almost everything to seeing that monthly expected move have a high probability of getting tagged. Very obvious there. But if I'm just trying to take like 2-hour plays on the way up, right? I'm just trying to do this and this and this. It's still good to know that I need that. But if I'm doing 2-hour plays, then I'm looking for those 30-minute higher lows to suggest what? Oh, to suggest we can get to weeklies. Then over here, we'd look for a pullback on the 2-hour. Then over here, we'd have another trade setup. So yes, you would overall, when prepping for some kind of trade, at least my personal way that I like to do it is I like to keep the macro in mind in some fashion. So I'll look at the daily chart. Is it by the center line? If it's by the center line and it confirms up, I immediately can go, I'm looking for 2-hour divergence immediately. I'm looking for 2-hour higher lows the rest of the way up. And if I see divergence or a weekly expected move tagged, I can take profit. But if it is very positive, I know not to short the damn thing, right? Because there can be a lot of sideways price action and things like that. But in order to take those 2-hour moves, I probably want to be looking at the 30-minute chart. So this is overall, I think what you're saying is correct. That is exactly how I like to do things, and that's why it's displayed that way in the course. So I thank you, Fritz. Does that get, I want to make sure you're taken care of, but overall, I would start at the daily and then go all the way, analyze the daily, analyze the 2-hour, and see which one of those gives the trade that I want to take based on the expiration I would like to take, based on the target that I would like to make. And then I would sit there and go, okay, I need to focus on the 30-minute. If I'm taking the daily move, I'm going to focus a little more on the 2-hour chart, but I'm still going to go review the 30-minute, right? In case there's weakness in the 2-hour, right? If the 2-hour chart is here and I see 30-minute lower high over here, then I know to get out of that play. You bet, Ryan. Thank you for coming in, Brett, but I appreciate you. And thank you, Fritz, for the question. I'm just hoping that we were able to tackle that pretty well. Yeah, short that view. We can look at NVIDIA. I haven't updated the levels for it yet. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. 2-hour higher low, trying to just carve out on its own. That's great. Yeah, the closures here overall adding up to we're trying to carve out that higher low, right? We're trying to confirm it back to the upside. We're trying our best. If we do that, weekly expected moves over on Patreon if you're looking for a target. But the 30 minutes a little deep here. We got to break through these sellers right here, right now. The thankful thing is, as of right now, you have some pretty decent, okay bars. I would say this one especially. So if we can extend that, you can see it's kind of flaggy a little bit here. If we can extend that, we come back down into it. That would be pretty nice for the 2-hour to give you, or the 30 minutes to give you the hint for the 2-hour chart. But as of right now, you're saying, hey, is this a big reversal signal? Well, if we look at the daily, we go, yeah, a daily can definitely get a move here because it probably wants to create some type of structure, right? What is that structure? Well, we went up, then we came back down, we set that low, we went extremely high. Now, over time, we have broken that low. And if we curl to the upside and we fail, then you kind of have some structure here, don't you? Doesn't that look interesting? So that's what would be pretty damn probable here. But it is NVIDIA. It is NVIDIA. So this thing can be a beast. So just make sure we have good confirmations for any kind of downside move. Right now, you technically have a move that is suggesting a reversal is probable. I am expecting IWM to reject. It's SPY in the Qs that I want to focus on here. Are they going to IWM rotate into the SPY in the Qs? They get one more push while the IWM backs off? Or are we going to see things tumble all at the same time? If you really, is it working for you, Fritz? Like, just are you enjoying more so utilizing the weekly move as for potential looking for entries? Are you using the weekly expected move for your profit taking? Because if those are two things you're doing, weekly expected moves, not monthly, then I would say 2 hour chart. That's pretty much how I like it. You're pretty much going to do it how I like it. So yeah, if you're mainly going to utilize the weekly expected move, meaning maybe your 2 to 4 weeks of expiration, somewhere in there is where you're targeting for expiration, then yes, weekly, okay, yeah, weekly expected move would be 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hour charts. So you're going to mainly focus on macro for the daily. Understanding what the daily trend is very important for the 2 hour. The 2 or 3, that's fine. The 2 hour chart, whatever you're comfortable with, the 2 or 3 hour chart, then you would sit there and go, I need to just play this thing whenever there's a good opportunity, right? Because the daily chart's confirming up, right? So if we take that into consideration, we would say, but I can utilize the 30-minute for my hints and possibly even for early entries. So macro side, I have an acknowledgement of it. I can see we're potentially in positive trends, negative trends that way. 2 hour charts, what I'm actually like going to watch for taking profit and things like that. I want that 2 hour move to get all the way up to a weekly expected move. And then the 30-minute chart will give you your hints if you want to take any kind of early entry and making sure that the 2 hour is healthy as far as momentum goes. Very, very good question. Very, very good. Very good way. I'm glad that you're utilizing it that way. Overall, just making it match how you like to do things is fantastic. So, yeah, I'm a big shout out of like not just taking the information and trying to match exactly what the information suggests on the full technical analysis course, but utilizing that information to make it work for how you view money, for how your personal life is. With it'd just be still, I would be the most stressed out man in the world if I was day trading right now. It matches just my lifestyle better with the kiddos. It matches my lifestyle so much better just to extend this out and pretty much do what Fritz is doing. So play those little 2 hour moves. And I don't play every single one. If I have something fun going on the next day with family or with the girls, we're going to a splash pad, we're going to a pool, we're going to the zoo or something like that. Usually on like Friday, we try to do stuff. If that's taking place, then I probably won't take a trade. I'm not going to blindly take something and hope that it stays good and then try to monitor it on my phone while I'm with my family. No, I'll just be like, the market's going to do what the market's going to do. I'll get an opportunity next week. I'm not taking my work. Well, I work from home technically, right? So I'm not taking my work away from my desk most of the time, unless it's for Patreon. Then I'll look at my phone. If something crazy is happening and I'm out, and I'll post to Patreon if something crazy is happening from my phone. We've only had to do that a few times. Thought the world was going to end. For 3 years, thought the world was gonna. That's okay. I mean, I have an AR-15 over there from the election of Trump Kamala. I really thought with whoever won, we could see something crazy happen. Obviously, prayed that nothing bad would happen to people, but I did grab that just in case. Had some fun learning how to use it. I ended up being very, very good at shooting, and now I don't have to use it for anything, and might just sell it. Honestly, I like my Glock more anyway. Stuff didn't hit the fan, so I'm like, all right, cool. Nothing hit the fan. Get rid of the big one. Less stress. Exactly. And everyone has a problem with patience, right? Everyone's got a problem with patience a little bit, especially when you're looking at markets and you're looking at social media and these people are telling you they're making, $10,000 in 10 minutes, and then they end up being a liar, and then you got baited the whole time and lost your money. That's yeah, you just play your own game. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, don't worry about what everyone else is doing because you can't control what they're doing. You can only control what you do, right? Your fingers, your hands. So if I can control what I'm doing and I feel like I'm getting rushed into a trade, I might just go grab a glass of water real quick and just be like, hold up, hold up, hold up. Chill for a sec. Don't make any kind of hip fire decision. Get a glass of water. You're not going to miss anything in the next 2 minutes. Like 99.99% of the time, you're not going to miss a great entry because you waited 2 minutes and calmed down for a sec. Got a glass of water. Does this have my rules? Let's go through the checklist. We go through the checklist. It looks good. How's the daily chart look? Well, the daily chart's curling up. So this 2 hour move into the upside kind of makes sense. Oh, I have a 30-minute confirmation. Okay, I can take that play. Hey, just in case that play goes wrong, I'm going to watch this 30-minute chart. If that curls down, I'll take a little loss, but at least it's not 100% loss. And then maybe I get a better opportunity at lower prices. And then if I'm able to catch that, then I can swing it to the upside and maybe even target the monthly expected move over time. Right? You can really slow it down in the slightly bigger time frames. Oh, brother. I've only been able to watch highlights overall. I will say this, as someone who was pretty critical of USA soccer my entire life because I'm a soccer player. Uh, my career got on. Um, but still, I hated watching USA soccer. I'm enjoying it this year. Like they actually it looks like there is a system in place. It looks really nice. So I'm really enjoying watching all the teams genuinely. We go over to there's a little family-owned Argentinian empanadas place, and they have like shrines of Messi everywhere. And I'm like, I don't know about all that, but he did set a record, or he like has the most goals, I think, or something like that. That's dope. Is that the ticker? Is that the ticker blue? Let me do Intel because I'm more familiar with it, and make sure you give me the right ticker. All right. 30-minute right away. Looking for higher lows first. Great movement though. So immediately you should be like, if this doesn't fail today and we extend like this, and we take this at least out, yeah, we're going into bad sellers. But if we can carve out that higher low, there might be an opportunity here. So let's look at the 2 hour chart because this might be 2 hour divergence across. No, you ain't getting you actually have kind of the signal that we were suggesting watching for the SPY. Remember the SPY? We were kind of like, if you do this and then you just fail, that's bad. So this is bad. But the 30-minute can do work here, and this is by no means like scary away from the center line. So if you can do your 30-minute work in here and curl up that 2 hour chart, I think you would still suggest like testing this high. Now you have a gap there, so you just got to watch for any rolling, like pretty much all in this area for the 2 hour. If the 2 hour confirms up, higher low on the 30-minute confirms up, and you roll over here, you're just probably going to be doing something like this. But overall, I think that this is interesting. Let me look at the daily. I did this kind of backwards. See, that is some very significant divergence, pretty extended, but overall, I think I'm going to go with it. I think I'm going to say that's pretty valid, and we would suggest like, hey, a break of this low is definitely probable at this moment, right? At this exact moment, with the daily information we have divergence on the MACD, and it's very significant on the RSI at the same time. That tells me I should be watching for this. But remember that our analysis on the SPY, our analysis on the Qs, is they are still waiting to reject. They are still looking if they can confirm the daily up. So can this go make a triple? Can this extend in some way? Of course it can. If the daily curls up, then watch out for extension. But if we watch the 2 hour chart here, it can be pretty simple. We're saying that the daily chart is saying this is something that's pretty probable. Now, it's not always a straight line. I'm just drawing the line so you can get a reference of like visually what it would look like, what that signal's suggesting. It can be plenty choppy until we actually get there, right? But if we did this, the 2 hour chart would not curl up. So I'm not making any kind of bullish decision until I see that 2 hour chart curl up. That's it, right? And if I see a counter move over here that fails, then I potentially even have an opportunity. And if I have a weekly expected move, I could potentially target that weekly expected move. I do not have that for you today for Intel. I do like Intel though. I should probably think about putting some a few better ones on there because I don't find myself really looking at the SoFis, really looking at DJT or anything like that. DJT's been interesting for sure at times. GME's been interesting for sure at times. Even AMC has. How's that daily pullback going? It's going well. Remember my analysis on this was I'm not chasing this. I'm looking for daily pullback. There it is. But overall, these are like interesting, but I don't think they're bringing me the most value as far as like, hey, there's a potential great trade setup. So I am thinking of replacing like all of these, or maybe making like a fun list of stocks, you know, how for the fun account, looking at like a fun list or something like that over here with these, and then kind of replacing these in the regular weekly expected moves with stuff like Intel, stuff like Target, stuff, you know, interesting things. Now Target might not be the most fun, but it was a great investment. Is there any specific stock that I like? My most traded stock is still Apple. Behind that is probably Amazon, maybe. I think it's Apple, Amazon, and maybe after that is probably volatility. Actually, it might go Apple. No, it's got to be Apple, Amazon volatility, or Apple SPY, Amazon volatility, somewhere in there. The other one I really like to trade sometimes, especially during bear markets, if you're interested, is TLT. TLT was one of my best trades of all time. Yeah. I made plenty off of like playing that bear market. I played TLT in the bear market, and it was a lot of fun. Like I think I only took like 2 trades, and it was low risk but still high reward. And I think one of them like 3x'd the next day, and I just sold it because I was like, I ain't holding on to I ain't doing more than that. So yeah, I like to stick with what I know. A good way to represent this is I've kind of just heard this from some people suggesting when you're early getting started on stocks is like play stocks that you understand at least their products. So if you use iPhone, like, yeah, you could look at Apple stock. If you are a Prime member and you've used Amazon for a long time, trade Amazon stock. If you go to Walmart or if you go to Target for a store, then look at investing in that store, right? That's kind of the principle that I've held for a long time. I will look at PayPal. You guys know I like PayPal. PayPal. Oh boy, PayPal. This is kind of what I'm talking about, that dry run up to the center line. That dry, lagging run. This is going to be very 50-50 here because you're not seeing enough strength, and you have a 2-hour divergence here. So I'm not liking it personally as of right now. I would want, at this stage, I would want to see a squeeze that takes out this high. I would want to see this, like a big, show me some strength before I even jump in the stock, then come back down and dip down for those buyers, and then I can take the opportunity later. Daily is just, it's so, if that rolls, that might not be the prettiest. Is this a weekly though? Like a higher low or something, a rejection? Okay, it's a rejection. Bro, I will say this, investing wise, let's just do this real quick. I know this is probably a 2020 thing here, but still, 85% off compared to the guy that bought up here. If we look like near term, what would be more likely here? Like a better way to probably look at price right now is just say, hey, from the previous, like in 2025 to 2026, this is 53% off. If you look at it that way, investing starts to become less of like a, hey, I have to analyze this for 6 hours. PayPal probably is not going anywhere, guys. So this is probably an investing type one to look at. That being said, that rejection is very interesting. It does suggest we might want to see that upward move, but if the daily fails here, then that is off the table. So I think for investing, I like it. What do you think, chart tiers? You making these charts cry? Making so much money? That's the best for right now. I would say what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions this week. You'll probably have a better idea for what PayPal wants to do early next week. Maybe by Wednesday. Maybe by Wednesday we can come on Wednesday's live show and bring up PayPal again for me, please. Chart tiers, if you could. If you have time on Wednesday morning, I'd love for you to come in and just remind me. My ADHD will forget. Because I think this one, as far as this is kind of like a target. You know, when we analyze target, it's a little bit different because it's not as long, but um, this is kind of like a hey, we need to look at this from an investment perspective, most likely, or extended options. You know, those 8-week type options. What up, Bogey? How's it going, my dragon? How's it doing? Or what's my daughter say? She says, "How you doing? How you doing this morning?" I'm like, I'm doing good. Yeah, we could look at Apple again. I'll do it on these charts. Apple, right away. What do we know from our monthly expected moves? Does hitting the monthly expected move on the 6th of the month mean chase that bad boy? Who's got an answer for me? Today's stream will be going for another hour, just so you are aware from right now. I have to hop off at 10:20 my time, so that would be about 1 hour. Yeah, do we chase these? Or do we look for but this is very obvious, right? Who was it? It was Fritz, right? Where's Fritz? Fritz, you still here? Come on, Fritz, you're still here. Come here, buddy. Give me a what's up. Or a what it do, baby boo. Or a how you doing? Fritz brought up a good question of like analyzing, okay, how do we really fish out an opportunity? Do we look at the 30-minute and then go to the daily, or do we do it kind of backwards? Do we do the daily down to the 30-minute or weekly down to a 30-minute? I overall suggested that at least my personal preference, right? Someone can be different than me and still be successful, guys. It doesn't mean that what I do is exactly right for you. It's just this information is to help you understand these things and how markets like to move. And then maybe you'll analyze things in your own time properly to be able to figure out what's best for you. The daily is crossing up right now, Fritz. Right? So what does that tell me? Fritz, let's see if we doing good. Don't worry about the market or the holiday. Big mental switch from last year. Hey, that's great, man. It's great. A lot of the time, the 4th of July is a squeezy time. If you think about it, think about the mentality here. We know that markets are messed with. We know that they're messed with, right? Their markets, this is the best way that I phrased it. And I'm just going to take a blip here and we'll talk about this, Fritz, but this is how I phrased it. Christmas, maybe like 4th of July. Let's do those 2 holidays. Okay. Do you think everyone's going to go buy stuff during Christmas season, like November, December, if the market's going like this? Probably not. Do you think people are going to really spend a lot of money on fireworks and celebrate really? Well, they still might because of alcohol, but still, do you think if the market's just tanking like this going into the 4th of July, people are going to be like really, really pumped? Now, we've seen some dips in 4th of July and then kind of curl up at the end of the week and seen positivity, but uh, overall, you have to consider that if the market's heading down dramatically during a time where they want people to spend money, that could affect how they spend money, right? So what you would rather see is probably a trap during those type of events. That's why you normally see a correction in the early stages of almost every single year. That's why you usually see some type of daily, if not weekly, correction at the early stages every single year. That's why summer, you kind of make your choice. You get a counter move bounce during 4th of July. You make your choice. You get an upward move during July and set up a trap at the end of summer. These things are just good to critically think about. But let's go back to our topic at hand. Our topic at hand is the daily chart is crossed up. What does that tell us? Go long, right? It says this thing is long. What does it tell us for the 2-hour chart? It tells us we should be paying attention to higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. Unless this curls down, unless the 2-hour really never confirms back up, we're probably looking at 2-hour higher lows. Bam, bam. Opportunity. Where's that opportunity very likely to be? Well, here, here, and here. Right? What's the structure we would make? Left, head, right shoulder. Do we have a resistance above us? Yes. Should I be shorting? This is a very positive trend. Shorting on the way up is a very difficult thing. All that has to happen is it slowly, slowly grinds into here, and you don't make money because it didn't get all the way down to here. Right? Much easier to just play with the trend than try to make money both ways in an upward trend. It'll be much easier to just be like, hey, did this curl up by the center line? Yes, it did. Where am I targeting? Monthly expect or weekly expected move next week. Maybe I'm even targeting second standard deviation, right? So overall, this is how we look at the daily at the 2-hour time frame, knowing that the daily has curled up. I don't know why I stuttered like 10 times. This is our first point of resistance for the week. If we break through, our second point will be here. And if we break through like this, we can only dip down into here. We could dip all the way down into here. But as of right now, if we started to roll from this position, this is such strength, especially right in here, that a pull back down to the weekly expected move would bring you right into those good buyers. You could pull into negative territory. Everyone could get bearish, which you shouldn't be bullish initially. But then down by this weekly expected move, let's say we come down to there by Wednesday, Thursday, and you see a 30-minute bounce that leads to a 30-minute divergence on Friday, and that's able to confirm at the end of the day, the 2-hour is very likely going to extend. So we are looking for higher lows dramatically here for Apple. AVGO might be a different story. We'll see. I should have seen it on the 27th. Well, the problem with the 27th is we went over this. We actually went over the fact that this is dry, this is dry, this is dry. Why has it changed? What made me change? Like this bar, yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Why am I changing my tone? Because we took out these levels with strong buyers in this bar. This bar is much more significant than this one, isn't it? It's a good bar, man. This move right here, the non-failure right here, the 30-minute curl up right here kept it going. So if anything, my decision was right here, Thursday on the 2nd, right? There was almost no reason. I mean, maybe a 30-minute higher low, right? No, it's still right here. It's literally this bar. So on the 27th, well, the 27th wasn't open. On the 26th to the 29th, what am I going to do with this information? You know what I mean? Like, I guess I could play a rejection if I'm confident about it, but this 2-hour was pretty deep. That'd be kind of for me, that wouldn't work most of the time. Like how stocks like to move, how Apple likes to move. I don't think that would be a good decision over time. If anything, you just expanded to the downside. So rejection makes a lot of sense to get to that monthly move or something like that. Instead, the trade was probably in here. And now the trade's kind of like, hey, do I leave the runners to the weekly? We were playing the right shoulder of the inverted head and shoulder with a short-term target of 756-ish. Yeah, you're looking for 756. The important part here, oh, here, let me go back over to these. They have the daily moves on. The important thing here, though, is seeing this. Do we break through? You know, that's the big deal. Because overall, I'm kind of excluding this, but, you know, overall, you're flagging. We could continue flagging. This could be your weekly pullback for the entire summer. You can keep doing this over and over and over and over again, and then finally curl up. That's why like downside's so much harder to play than upside. That's why money making downside plays is usually better because it's harder. But overall, if this confirms up, I do think it's lower probability to be a trap as of right now. I'm seeing nothing really bad from the 2-hour here, and I'm seeing nothing really bad for the 2-hour here. This could change very quickly. If we're going to see a trap this week, like that daily flash move up and a confirmation out, right? That divergence that we're by the center line, you flash it up and you just curl down. If we're going to see something like that on the SPY on the daily, well, then this will curl down and set that divergence point. So if you pay attention to this RSI, we see that we have set a distinct point, very easy point. And if we do this in any way, we curl to the upside with any kind of significance on the 2-hour chart, that's going to be a problem. Now, why is that going to be a problem? Well, not necessarily because of the daily chart here. That would be curling up in some way, but that doesn't look very risky. But if you look at futures, I still think that we need to consider this based on the fact that we could create a divergence, we could create a higher low still with the fix in the futures. The reason for paying attention to something like this is simply because you're at annual expected moves. Pulling back on a macro scale from here is still high probability. We are not seeing a wipeout of signals yet. We need to wipe out signals. Pretty much the only reason that we're saying that this move is still very probable is because the salmon line, the annual expected move for the SPY, still hasn't been tagged. So we are expecting the Qs to make a move outside of their expected annual move. We are expecting the Qs to do something like this, whether now or later. We are expecting some sort of extension either now or weekly pullback, and then see it at the end of the year into some kind of trap, or maybe end of October. I don't know if it's really that fast. That's what we would be considering. We still do on this channel. I do believe that the Qs will tag these type of areas because the SPY has not tagged its level yet. Okay, so I do think that extension here would make sense, but a roll into a weekly pullback would also make sense. So that's why I think this signal is very important to watch. If we completely wipe it out, then we can extend for a period of time and see a pullback more towards that September timeline. If we pull down to here and confirm back up though, double bottom, right? If we can hold that divergence point, we curl to the upside, that can be a problem. But the 2-hour right now is suggesting that we're going to keep going, even if we pull back. Or I'm sorry, 4-hour, right? It's not 4-hour. Yeah, 4-hour, it does have like flat divergences, but it's super low. The turnarounds are better like this. Look at that. Like this. Look at that one. Wham. Not this chop down here. So we're still kind of looking for the higher low. We're still looking for a potential divergence point over here. And I'm going to do that on the VIX most of the time. I'll always check the VIX first. What a rejection. I think second standard deviation for the day takes you to not to the weekly expected move, unfortunately. You're going to fall about 3 points short, 753-ish. 753 is going to be a pretty solid pullback level. This would be the risky signal, actually, for today. You do this, and then you wipe all this out, but that's pretty low probability considering the buyers there. But we already know if we get to that 95% line, 0 DT years, we should not be too excited about more upside just yet. Fuse? Right there, buddy. I got you. In red. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Well, that kind of adds to the massive move coming. Yeah, you're pretty consolidated. The range this week did shrink in just a little bit, I believe. Last week got a pretty big range. I would like it to shrink in more because then we'd start to look for something unexpected. I would, if it was shrunk in a little more. S.US. Silver? You looking at this one? Solana. No. I don't know. We'll have to see if we can find that thing a little bit better. It says SUS up here. Sentinel 1. Let's just type that. Let's see if we can find it. Like double top here. We'll see if this one's it. Yeah, it seems hard. I have this one. This is all I got. We'll figure it out in one of these 3 live sessions this week. That's it? Okay. Double top wise, not necessarily a recipe right this second, I would say. Why would I say that? A lot of the time you want your double tops to be making divergences, and this is such an extended downward move that it's very likely to make a lower high. But since we have squeezed out of that, notice if we kept this dryness, and we confirm down, that would look a lot worse, right? But since we got that strength, the 2 hour is going to be so positive here that you're looking for a little bit of continuation. So if the daily rotates down, yes, you have an argument. It's just you have good buyers, even good buyers in this bar right here. If we look at the 2 hour chart, though, we see this is more of like what I would consider a double bottom than over there. Now, this is technically like a slight higher low, but this looks a little bit better because it's so close to the center line that you go, okay, daily move to the upside, that's going to fail. Oh, I benefited and got lucky. Look at it. So I wouldn't agree with you right this second. But I would say if we set up if we just drop from here, then you'll get the hint from the 2 hour. You might not get the exact top though. If you set up divergence, right? We get this going on, and then we do that, then yes, you can get some kind of downward trend. But at the same time, that's not going to really be daily divergence at that point. So you'd want to consider that it can work that out. But a reversal signal here would be more convincing because even if the daily is able to, even if the 2 hour sets that up and gets weak, if you cross through this high, do all that, right? You get to here, your MACD is going to start to extend up to these type of levels, and then a pullback would be very probable. So do I think this is double top? I would have to say personally, I do not think it is. Or at least I would say that that's not the most probable thing as of right now with the information that we have. Does that make sense, Blue Brains? Like if I saw a 2 hour lower high, a sneaky lower high, a sneaky little divergence, maybe even before we break through that high, then I'd have something to say. But overall, it looks like the next easy opportunity is just, hey, look, if the 2 hour pulls back, it can confirm up. You know what I mean? Right? It's like overall, it's like, hey, this is really high. If it does this and curls up, then it's probably an opportunity to test the high, go make a new one. So too bullish of a trend to suggest, in my personal opinion, I would say, because you might analyze it differently, but I would just say my opinion is this is a little too soon to be suggesting a double top, and then it's gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, see, no, I have to speak honestly with the skills that I do have, and right now I see a very, very bullish trend. You can go through corrective moment. You can go through something, right? We can break if we would like to break through this high. That would be step number 1. Break through that high. People will say cup and handle. You know, some people might even draw up that you can see a pretty dang significant dip, right? But I don't think I would draw it that way. I'd just be like, hey, if the 2 hour gets by the center line and confirms, and it doesn't look like this, but it instead looks a little bit like this, and then confirms to the upside, and we go like this, and we confirm to the upside, then it's a pretty simple way to understand which direction this is going. And longish at 12:30. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Weekly probably even rejected right there. So this is your positive move right here. Great entry. Jeez. Great entry. Did you have like daily signals for that? You did. Technically difficult ones. Yeah, like I would probably be at like 1390. So that's a great entry. That's crazy. Very good. I like it. I'll look at Oracle because I think my brother used to like work with or with a company they bought. Oracle right now, probably not one to be sitting there going, yeah, this is going to be the easiest play in the world. That's invalid. Yeah, this is obviously your important area. So you notice this, you're not getting these bumps in the road to at least create some sort of structure, some sort of divergence, some sort of higher low to give you any kind of inclination. You're just down. So we'd really likely need to be patient here. We'd really likely need to be patient here. Okay, this is the great signal to watch. We'll always try to give you something valuable, even if something looks kind of, bad. I'll still try my best. So, weekly chart. What do we see right now? Bad. We see down, counter move, confirm down. Do we get an equal move? Is this a big moment for Oracle where it's horrible and everyone's bearish on it? Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it's a terrible time for Oracle. That's what this signal suggests. It suggests, hey, we're heading down. But what if that stops short and curls to the upside? Double bottom? Divergence play? What if that stops short on the weekly and turns up and creates these things? Right? If all of that happens, then everyone who's bearish on it might be looking the wrong direction with confirmations, obviously, but they might be. Do we see that right now? No. So who's really got control of this? Bears. What would we look for on a shorter time frame if I want to see a little bit earlier if the weekly chart is highly probable to turn around? You look at the daily. What's the daily look like? Really freaking deep on the MACD. You make divergences to turn around. You make a lot of them to turn around for Oracle, apparently, at least in recent time. So I at least need to see some sort of divergence here to suggest that weekly's turning around. I at least need to see some sort of higher low on the daily probably before that turns around. Before I have an extreme hint, before that weekly can really confirm because there's such distance. Like if this spreads out one more time, you're probably going to see some kind of daily divergence, especially if you do what I drew up where you come down for a few more days, like or a few weeks into August. Then you're really going to be wanting some kind of daily divergence right there to give you a hint. That's how I see it right now. This is the best thing to watch as far as like investing goes, in my opinion. Like, look at this thing. It's a monster. It's a monster right now. You don't want to be caught on the wrong end and this flushes to the floor. So am I making that decision now? Or am I waiting for a daily divergence to show up and then I'll make a decision? Then I'll manage the trade based on my skills as well. That's it. I like it as far as the weekly chart goes. I don't like it on the daily. I think you need to see more information here. I like it on the weekly if I get a confirmation. That's why we look at the daily. Do we see anything from the 2-hour chart? We see just a dramatic sell-off. We see squeezing to the downside. You are getting the water falling type effect here. No buyers showing up as of right now. So if I even want to suggest that the daily is going to curl up, I still would probably want to watch for something like this to take place. I still would want to watch for something like this, and then I'd want to watch out for a divergence over here. So as far as Oracle goes, I think the weekly chart is the best signal to be patient for right now. Yeah, let's go look at TLT. I think someone mentioned TLT a couple times. That's my bad. I'm liking that everyone's flowing in the chat, though. I like it. Everyone had a good weekend, huh? TLT here. Let's consider this first. Sorry, guys. Daily's trying to cross up here for the 10-year yield. Where is it? And what is it? Well, let's see. We made a low, we made a high, we made a new low, and that's a higher low. Then we made it high. Then we come down to here, and we're currently trying to carve out a low, trying to confirm that. So what does that mean for me? That means for me, yes, in this case, I will have a little chip on my shoulder watching for any kind of failure because we're a little negative this time. But overall, we are going into positive territory tomorrow if this can hold. If this can hold positivity for another 24 hours, you'll be positive. Probably 48 hours, but still. If that's happening, then TLT is likely to continue to do what? Go down. So if the US 10 years confirming this, test the high, probably include most of that, potentially go make a new one. And because that would be very wonky to make a divergence, it's very likely that if you make a new high, you're going to extend a couple more times. So now that we have that on the daily scale mapped out, we can now go over to, and maybe this even helps you on the 4-hour. If you get a 4-hour pullback, which I don't think you're getting one right now, you're getting a 2-hour by the center line. That means that TLT might be dropping even further right now. So the big thing here is this is dropping fast, right? Maybe I'm looking for this over here at some point, right? Maybe I'm looking for that, right? Some kind of 2-hour dead cat bounce, you know? Well, if I'm looking for that, that's fine. But right now, I'm kind of in no man's land. So what we're going to do is I'm going to map this out on TLT because it's already mapped out for you because I like to pay attention to TLT. I told you. Let's take some confusion off of the charts here for a moment. Yeah, let's take all the confusion off the charts for a moment and say, where are we likely headed? Like where, now that right, no man's land. This is the difference between Patreon versus not Patreon. This is the difference between in August, at the end of August, when we're switching to 1 free show versus 2 member shows per week. This is the difference right here. We look at this, we're in no man's land. We have no information besides maybe basic skills of, hey, this low is important. Hey, this is some decent buyers in here. Hey, the MACD is pretty deep. I'm looking for lower high, right? Our other skills. But what really guides us are the moves. This immediately changes how I view the stock. Any stock. I know it's TLT, but here. Why? Because now I see that the weekly expected move and the monthly expected move are sitting at 84.60-ish. So if they are there, then I'm very likely to get there. And if I'm going to reverse, if the 10-year yield is going to fail and TLT is going to start to head in the upward direction for the 2-hour chart, well, then I probably would come at least tag this and then make a higher low. I would probably at least come tag this and make some sort of divergence at that monthly expected move and turn around. So the daily time frame for TLT went positive. We took out the critical level. We are looking for technically a daily higher low. So where would that right? Daily chart here. Hey, where's that higher low going to take place? I don't know. The best thing I can say here is maybe by that center line, maybe a little deeper. I hope it doesn't go too deep. Then it becomes confusing, right? But then I see this and I go, oh, where would that daily pullback likely get to? Well, I'm paying attention to right here. Now, is it getting to that? Some people do this. I don't. I do not. When it gets to that line, buy it and then expect it to turn around. I like the market to prove it wants to turn around. This is my guideline. This curls back to the upside. Decision made. If it's close to the center line, then that can be a pretty darn positive move. We can test the high, go make a new one. If we spend too much time down there, though, that's where it becomes troublesome. That's where we start to potentially go negative. So overall, right now, you would say for TLT, it's going to try to carve out a daily higher low. And I probably want to watch my 2-hour chart. And what area can I watch and say thank you to weekly and monthly expected moves? Because this means this week we get to here, we're very likely to get a counter bounce. And then if that bounce fails, I can target this exact area again, have a nice little trade here, look out for divergence. And when everyone says yields are going to skyrocket, they don't. Now, if yields are going to skyrocket, then either this will fail or this won't even shape up, right? It's pretty simple. If the opportunity doesn't show itself, then the opposite's happening still. Yeah, so the live show should be from now on. It's just we're doing the summer completely for free. So don't think you have to do anything, guys. I really want you guys to just take it in. I really wanted to just show up for you guys a lot throughout the summer. And big shout out to Wifey. We always got to shout out the Wifey during this. Now that baby girl, now that, well, I say baby girl, but she's 2. Now that the 2-year-old is out of the cast and actually can walk and stuff a little bit, it is much nicer to manage. So yeah, Ryan, we'll be here all summer long, and then in August it'll switch, but we will still have one free show every Monday after August, because we're doing this to my birthday, which I just said, hey, end of August, because my birthday is pretty much end of August. Awesome, Ryan. I'm glad you showed up, man. I like TLT. I want to develop a routine trading strategy for it. I like kind of investing in it, but um, when yields were really, really important to everyone, like back during the inflation scare time, right? That 2022 bear market type time. Ooh, TLT was fun. It was fun. I think I only really, hey, thank you, Bogey. Appreciate you, man. Um, I think it was overall like I only took 2 or 3 trades with it, but they were just so successful because people get yields so wrong when yields are the main focus. Like I talked about it like this. So the people I know who are in the housing market who like ask me for information about yields for their clients, they'll just ask my friends and sometimes family who work with like realtors or MLO. They'll ask me questions. So when the yield looks like this, they don't really ask me questions, right? When the yield looks like this, they start to ask a bunch of questions. Hey, should they be locking? Is this a good time to lock? I think I'm going to lock them. The rate could go a lot higher. This is really bad. Lock them, lock them, lock them. That's what they're always saying around here. Down here, they're always saying it'll go lower. It'll go lower. They think my client thinks it'll go lower. So we're not going to lock. We're not going to lock. Everyone is much quicker to make people lock when yields are rising and at highs. When I'll tell them, well, you can lock them if they're really truly worried about that and the rate's comfortable, but it's very likely for that to pull back. And then you'll probably get a little bit better rate. I could probably, depending on the size of the house, depending on the price of the house, I could save them like 30 grand. And then if that curls to the upside, that's when you want to watch out for those clients and tell them, hey, you should expect some higher rates, right? But all of them always message me here, and none of them message me here, right? And I'll even message someone and be like, hey, I think yields are about to turn around. And they still will be like, well, my client wants to see it go lower. I'm like, oof. And then what happens? This is what's funny. That the client who wanted to see it go lower over here, they start freaking out right over here. And then they just buy the higher rate. Yeah, it's just like when you get a deal, take the deal, right? If you see it as a deal, take a deal, right? Hey, I wanted this pizza for $10 and they're doing a buy 2 get 1 free. Oh, that's a good deal. I'll take it. Right? Oh, hey, import prices are high for certain products of theirs, so now their pizza is $13. Well, I need to have my pizza. Right? There's a different way to think about it. I haven't seen it. Can I watch it real quick? Is that the USA one? Balogun. Can I watch it real quick? Balogun red card. Let me watch it. I will have an opinion on it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought it was BS. I thought I actually saw this. Yes, okay. I just didn't know his name. I think that red card is weak. Oh, I am, but I only watch highlights. I don't have time to sit and watch the whole game, but I did watch those highlights. I've been watching all the USA highlights. I'm a Netherlands fan. I watch the Netherlands highlights. They look rough sometimes. Right now, this time around, they look a little rough. Um, yeah, we lost like Netherlands lost a lot of key players. I feel like, but um, and then I like to watch Brazil lose. No offense. I love my Brazilian teammates, but man, they are annoying fans. So, annoying fans, I like to lose. Sorry if you're an OU fan, but the guy who dumped a Coca-Cola on my wife, no, on my mom's head. OU will always be in my little black book. No, I'm sure it's just some drunk guy at one time. The card is weak. The red card is so weak. So you challenge, right? Person one, person two challenges this way. Person one's running, I think he was running this way. Overall, I believe the ball, I'm gonna watch it one more time. Yeah, overall, they're both chasing a ball that's landing like here. And this guy just gets a toe on it, and this guy takes out his plant foot. And it's not in an area where some kind of massive play was going to be made. It is cleats up and stuff like that, but I mean, I believe it wasn't that like right in the second half as well or something. I wouldn't like that call. I think that's silly. But the amount of damage done is probably what got the red. So, yeah, the damage done here is pretty crazy, but he kicks the ball right before. I don't know why he's stepping like that though on that tackle. I really don't. Like I don't know why his foot is I really don't know what the thinking was behind tackling with your foot shaped like this, right? If a ball, oh, I guess it was coming from the air, but still. I think overall, I think 95% of the time, or let's say 90% of the time, you'll see a yellow there. But I think because it just did so much damage, like if you watch it, it fully crushes his ankle. I think that's what probably made the decision a red card. I'm a hater though. I'm a hater of like the dudes that get tackled. This is also why I'm not a Brazil fan. Anybody that does this, anybody that does this, any soccer player in the world that does this, I'm not a fan. And most of them do this. This player gets tackled, right? They get tackled and they fall, and then they roll and roll and roll and roll, and then they roll around on the ground for 5 minutes because someone's toe grazed their leg. I do not like that at all. It is one of the most annoying things about soccer that has developed. Which you go play college ball in the States, that ain't happening as much, man. You're getting trucked a lot. At least where I played. Where I played semi-pro and college ball, like semi-pro, you see it a little more often, but overall, semi-pro to college, you're just seeing people get crushed and get up, and it's awesome. I really enjoyed that. My hip fire decision would be yellow. My 90% of the time decision would be yellow. If I sit and watch the clip 5 times, like the referee probably did, I can understand someone giving a red. It's hilarious because mad at FIFA because Trump asked them to review it and review board reversed the suspension but kept the card. Oh, there was a suspension behind it too? There was no animosity behind the tackle. He's not, no, that he's not wild. That's silly. You can keep the card, but but I thought red cards were like just you can't play for 2 sessions or something. No, I don't. I think, dude, I'm a guy that is, and this is a phrase that we've heard a lot, but lately in my house is like stand on business. If you're going to call that a red card and give a suspension, then call it a red card and sit on it and give a suspension. That's how I view it. I think you should stand on business. Is it one game or it's not two? Oh, I thought it was two for some reason. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Like, because that directly reflects that referee, and it would hold more referees accountable over time. Take a quick look at IVN. Yeah, let's get back to the market a little bit here. Fun to talk about this. I'm glad everyone's enjoying. Ugh, can't do that one. What's it called? Ivanhoe. Ivanhoe. I don't know why that's funny to me. This is gonna be weekly time frame, isn't it? Yeah, this will be weekly time frame. Most likely only weekly time frame. I don't know much about this company. Came in 2020 or 2013. Decent longevity. Broke the low. That's a problem. This is more of a problem than you think, but it's nice because there's a trap signal. Do you see the trap signal? Yes, you do. Right there. Kind of flat here, but overall down. No divergence there on the MACD. On the weekly here, nice little trap signal though for an uptrend move. Notice failure just into straight down to test the lows. That's kind of wild. I don't think you want to be dabbling with these areas. That's some pretty good sellers. You pile up. If you extend, that's a bad thing. You'd probably like this to hold up in this area and just turn around. Some hope though. We got to really extend out here. Yeah, because that doesn't look cute. This looks like it wants to test the next area, like here, $7. So here's how you would look at this and actually make sense of it, right? Try to do something helpful. Try to figure something out on every single chart to be helpful to you guys. That's the overall thing here, right? So even if the chart looks, kind of rough, we're going to try to say something here. What if this daily curls up? Right now it's down. We know that it's going down. Okay, down, 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 down. What if that stops? If that stops and turns around, maybe I'm not really wanting to take it initially. Maybe I want to wait a sec. Maybe I want to see that it can break through the critical area. What's the critical area? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gap, 6. Low, 7. Lot of touches here. Very interesting. So my plan here would probably be, hey, okay, this looks bad. I don't know if I want to touch it. It looks bad. Maybe investing wise, I can, kind of cost average in a little bit. But the best thing for me to happen here would be break through this critical area and then come back to it. Then I could have a decision to be made. Now, are you going to be able to be that patient? That's kind of the thing over here. And this more so towards like, maybe this is towards investing a little bit. I definitely think it can be utilized for investing a look like this. But also I would say like options could utilize this a little bit once you actually see that happen. But as of right now, if nothing like that takes place, I don't think there's a lot I can do with this besides say, hey, have I analyzed the fundamentals? Have I done my fundamental research and said, yes, I want to put this in my books? And even if it does go test that low of 645 or test this area towards below $7, am I willing to scale in at that time? Do I want to dabble with it now just in case? And because I like the price of the fundamentals. And then if I see this, I can add to it again. Do I want to dabble with it as an investment because I've done my fundamental research and then I see it drop down? I don't get shaken off. And then I see a daily divergence that suggests we're going to turn around. And I go, okay, I'm going to add it back in around that $7 mark. And then my cost average, maybe I actually did a dabble versus an actual investment amount. And then my cost average is towards like say $8.50 or $8 right there. Right. That's the best way I could look at it right now. It does not look good. This doesn't look good. So we're really trying to to map out if I spent all my time looking at IVN, well, then I probably need to make sure that that level here of about 1314 is taken out. Trap signal can be multiple things. Trap signal, that can be multiple things. So it's not like directly, hey, this is a trap. A trap signal is just like, you'll see it almost every week, right? Especially on the 30-minute chart. Usually you'll see it, right? Some people could consider this a trap signal right now. If they don't have a 5-day moving average up and they saw this big of a tank and then it turns around, they could say that's a trap. This is potentially a trap signal. Boom, right there, right? The rejection, the divergences on the RSI, triple divergence there. That's a trap signal in some fashion. But what is it leading towards? The important thing isn't, do I have a trap signal? The important thing is, do I have a trap signal? And what are the charts suggesting is going to happen next? I have a trap signal, so we're going to crash. No, I have a trap signal, so we're going to test the 5-day moving average and try to get by the center line, or we are going to see a little bit more into our pullback. Right? Understanding that the next part is the important part. Not just I have a trap signal, but what does that trap signal mean? Let's do this on IWM. I have a trap signal on the macro scale. What does this trap signal mean? Well, if the weekly is in a super negative trend and I see a move like this, a squeeze, and the weekly still happens to be maybe slightly positive. But what does this one mean? Well, this is a daily divergence that suggests something like this can take place. Right? So if that's it, then what would I really be looking for? What's really being suggested here? Oh, the weekly chart can cross down. Okay, what does that trap signal suggest can happen right now? A weekly pullback like this, a weekly pullback like this, a weekly pullback like this, right? But overall, weekly pullback. The important part about analyzing divergence and looking for potential traps like this, which we look for traps specifically at weekly, monthly, and even annual expected moves like we're looking at right now. The important thing isn't, hey, I have a trap signal. The important thing is, what is a high probable expectation for that trap signal? And how could that expectation also not be met? What are those two things? That is, what is a good target? And how do I not get screwed? What is a good target? How am I going to manage that if it goes wrong? That's the important part. The easy part is acknowledging, like over time, even if you're having a hard time with divergence, stuff like that, especially if you're new, over time, you'll be able to see divergences and higher lows everywhere. Everywhere. The important part is what's going to happen next? What is the high probable thing to happen next? Because if I'm sitting here with these daily divergences and I'm saying there's going to be a 50% crash down to 150, we're going all the way down to here, which we can take this level off, by the way, I believe. Yeah, we can take that level off. That was the trap last time. Remember that? This was the trap last time. This was the trap last year. That's the annual expected move last year. Look at that. Would you just look at it? That's the trap last year. So where's probably the trap this year? This is the downside trap early on into April. This is the possible upside trap going into June of 2026. Right? So we look for trap signals at significant areas. And then we look at what they would suggest is the highest probable thing to happen next. This daily chart is not suggesting that a weekly is going to cross down and we're going to see a 50% crash. The daily chart having those potential trap signals is suggesting that we are going to get a weekly corrective move, a weekly pullback. So that means my expectation for this should be some sort of weekly pullback, and then a confirmation to the upside. It immediately tells me, yes, I can play this down on the shorter time frames, obviously negative trends. But if that weekly curls up, I should switch immediately back to bullish, and I should be expecting an opportunity on the weekly chart over here. How does that go wrong? If the weekly chart doesn't make that, we break this low, it's completely gone wrong. If we don't carve out the higher low, then we go over here, and then we look for the lower high, and we continue to the downside, and you get a little bit more. You have the potential to go down to 196, unless we leak into 2027, where we have to recalculate these moves. So the important part, once again, is not, do I have a reversal signal? Do I have a trap signal? That is important, but the most important thing is, what is my plan for that signal? And that's where weekly expected moves and monthly expected moves definitely help you. They create clarity where there is no clarity. Very cool. It does look like a bear flag. I know what you're talking about. All right, guys, we got a little bit more time here today. I really appreciate all of the momentum in the chat, guys. We are really moving today. We're asking great questions. We're asking questions about weekly moves, monthly moves. We're asking questions about regular trends. We're asking questions about trap signals. I think it's fantastic. We've had a great amount of topics today, and let's keep it going all week long. Even if we need to rehash something, I would rather rehash it to make it stick than to not rehash it and say, yeah, we talked about that yesterday. I want it to stick, and there's probably someone else out there who has the exact same question as you, and they're just not willing to say it. There is not a bad question, because everyone's probably at different stages, guys. So I just hope that overall, through your questions, we can answer it in the most helpful way possible. What, Hugo, you making that money today? You're making so much it's flowing out of your mouth and two others? But if you're making money, put it to good use, man. And I don't mean good use like, hey, I'm going to buy another property while my friend is struggling with bills, saying, hey, I'm going to help you out. We're going to get your life sorted. I'm here to help you, buddy. I know all this. They went, well, you'd be surprised, Colin. You'd be surprised, Colin. Colin, they are, it's always good to have another opinion. It's always good to see the other side sometimes. It's always good. That's what I say with politics. It's good to see the other side. It's good to hear the argument. It's good to hear the other side, because you never want to be the guy in the clouds. Hey, bro. Hey, brother. What's going on? I just made so much money right here. It just went up to here. Oh, I just made so much money. I've been trading for years, and this is an easy play. It's going to the monthly move, falls short, curls down. A good reason to not be like cocky with it and always know that the market can slap you if it wants to is a good reason is you like to keep your money. A better reason is you'll get humbled real quick. And if you get too cocky at the wrong time, you can get really smacked. The market will fish out your bias and put it in your face. It will. It will. If you get there, it will smack you. You're going to think, oh, I'm the best Tesla trader ever. And then just one day, no news, 5% down. That's Tesla. We are on tomorrow, Fritz. Well, to be fair, I know nothing. Hey, humility is a good thing. You have a great base there. Confirming with nail, maybe tied with TLT somewhat. So for nail analysis, use HGX. I do like that you're looking at nail. I think that's awesome. For nail analysis, we look at HGX and we would say, hey, can the 2 hour curl up in these great buyers? So then you go look at nail. You guys know I like my nail. And you'll say, okay, here we go. So the 2 hours in a good positive trend. If the daily reverses down, that 2 hour never confirms. I can look for daily pullback. Hey, we just took out these levels. Okay, but I want to do that analysis on the HGX. Why? Right up here. See, that says 3X ETF. So that means the movement of this can be wrong. The momentum of this can be wrong, right? If you're heading down, then you head down extremely fast. If you're flat, you still usually head down. If you're slightly going up, you might be flat, right? But if you can go to the upside with confidence, then you can start to head up. Nail truly is one that I just look at whenever it gets down towards these type of levels. If it gets down to $5, I usually buy it no matter what. And I actually just said that, and I realized that that's a plan I put in place before I ever did it. So I did not do it the last time we were at this level, and I did not do it the last time we were at this level, just to be very clear. I don't want you thinking that I've made like $1 million off of these runs, but I actually specifically marked off these levels because of this. So no, I have not done the full investment from 1840 or 491 with this stock. I wanted to be clear about that. I don't want you guys thinking that I have done that and act like I did. That did not happen yet. That's a plan that was put in place after those moments. So if I get a daily pullback, daily curl to the upside, decision to be made. Right now, we would overall want to be looking at HGX. HYG, where's my HGX? There it is. And we would overall want to look at HGX, and I could say, hey, I just have nail up, like right. And then I say, okay, if this confirms to the upside, then I can buy nail. I can use the confirmations on HGX to make a decision about nail. For now, you would say that decision might be on the 2 hour chart. If the 2 hour chart can't confirm to the upside, then I maybe have a decision to make with nail. I need to watch out for divergences and things like that from here on out. But overall, this looks pretty good. And I should be looking for 2 hour swing moves to the upside with an eventual daily pullback coming. Doesn't have to be right now, though. First tap into overbought territory. First tap, you're out of it already. This thing doesn't like to go too overbought. It did over here. This was our weekly. Yeah, this might take place. I expected this. If you didn't know, this analysis is from a macro video a long time ago, and it was overall suggesting that the housing market would see one more boom before we see some kind of bust. And I believe it was a monthly trend. Yep, it was. So monthly trend here. Overall, we're looking for down into one more up. That kind of sets a trap. So as of right now, if we set a trap over here, that would mean 2027, the housing market will be at risk. And we're hovering right around our good line. So that's good. Yeah, I don't mind that. I do like HGX and stuff. If the weekly crosses down, bad. If the daily can carve out that higher low or a 2 hour higher low, you really just want this level taken out. So I would like the 2 hour to extend, daily pullback, and then you get the explosive move over here, kind of with this shape. And remember, this is in reference to nail. Yeah, we can tell you about Patreon. It's pretty simple. It's very cheap. It's like $7. But I've only got a couple minutes. We can talk about it a little tomorrow. But overall, it's just so you can get ranges for a bunch of different stocks. That way, when you're over here with these on, we can look at daily charts and go, hey, if TLT goes down to here, all right, I need to look for an opportunity. If it shapes up, I might have a trade there. Okay, Apple. Okay, we saw that extended to the monthly and potentially going to go to the weekly. So this tells me I probably shouldn't make a decision here. I probably should wait for a pullback down into like 300 before making a decision on that, right? It just clears things up. you'd say like IWM, okay, IWM, if we're going to do that, how likely is it to break the low this month? And what should I expect from there? Well, if we're able to confirm this to the downside, then there's triple divergence on the daily MACD, there's quadruple divergence on the RSI. So if we're able to confirm this down, it's very likely for us to break through that weekly. If we break through these levels and we break, oh, that was a terrible line. If we break through these levels, break through the low, then we would consider a counter trend move to get back into the monthly expected move by the end of the month and then potentially roll. That would be very, very fast though. So we'll see what happens. Tesla. Oh, okay. If the daily curls down, yeah, I'll watch for daily divergence at this monthly expected move, but that'd be very, very tight and not a lot of depth here on the RSI. So very interesting signal. But we did just see us bounce from that area. That's from last month, just to be very clear. The tag is not the tag of this month's monthly expected move. We have not tagged it yet, but we saw an explosive move from that level. So it's a very important level. Okay, where are we at right now? Well, we're outside of, well, I guess it's Monday, so we're not outside of a monthly expected move. But with all the strength from that level, we can see that a 2-hour carving out a higher low would really point towards where? It would point towards the monthly expected move, right? It makes things easier to have it for all these. And it opens up the door to, hey, I really like to trade Apple, but Apple's not setting anything up. Hey, Amazon is. Hey, Amazon's setting something up. Hey, the indices look a little wonky to me, but Apple has a simple little 2-hour divergence by a monthly expected move. Okay, that makes it clear, right? 3x ain't bad, like not options wise, because that's like what, 300 over leverage. Um, Colin, so that's why you heard me say, like, I like data that suggests what people are still doing. Um, let's be real. What, like 80% of this market runs on credit? Like what, 90% of the housing market runs on credit? Um, probably like 70% of just the average American, has less than $1,000 saved in their account and is most likely running things on credit. I think the average amount of credit card debt for the entire nation is like $11,000 at least per person. So, taking those things into consideration, the reason I'm bringing those things up in relation to the housing market is they will loan you out money even if you can barely afford it or sometimes not even afford it. So like things can, even when people lose jobs, they can get, funding in other ways. There's just a lot that can go on. I mean, look at 2007. In 2007, you would have a married couple who both don't have jobs who get oh, what the frick is the loan called? Come on. No. It's like called it's a ninja loan. It's a ninja loan. No income, no job. No income, no job was huge in 2007. There were people still able to get a loan from certain places, from banks, from everything. That's why the banks got bailed out, is because they gave bad loans for sometimes $400,000 to $700,000 to people who had no income and no job. They just gave them an adjustable rate at a low rate initially that boomed a year later. So just know rich people will always take advantage and make products that look good for you, but they are not. Make sure that anything you're doing for large amounts of money is actually good for you and not just, you know, a turd wrapped in a Snickers wrapper. Yeah, that's actually that's something that you learn not at all while you're growing up, but you'll probably learn it really fast if you learn nothing financially and then you get a credit card. They will give you to start out with no credit. You will get like still sometimes a $5,000 to $20,000 credit card. Life advice from Lucas. Do not take it. No, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying life advice. I'm more just saying, like, higher up people than you will take advantage of you by giving you a chocolate bar that's actually filled with crap. Yeah, but it helps the environment. Hey, buy this candy bar made in a factory pumping fumes into the air, wrapped in plastic that's going to end up in the ocean to support clean environments. Buy this electric car that is built using oil. Yeah, so turdflation. No, it's a good thing to know because the markets do the same thing to you. They try to trick and trap you, they try to show you something's good, and then you don't react to a bad thing. Oh no, I know Columbus. Columbus, we go way back, brother. You kidding me? You think I'm ever gonna think you're being absolutely mean to me? Come on, dude. I just appreciate that you're showing up in here again, man. Oh shoot. I'm 5 minutes over. Oh no. I've really enjoyed today though. I really have. I hope you guys have too. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to see a lot of our analysis come to fruition. How we have had to bounce back and forth at times, right? But from this point on, notice there was no post about this. I didn't say, "Oh, this is fishy. We're gonna fall down" or something. Nope, we were just watching those divergences in here. They happen to confirm right here. Now we're gonna extend to here. That just makes total sense. So very, very nice. Oh, that's all right, Columbus. We like our lurkers. Socks. So socks is going to be a similar thing, isn't it? This one's not leveraged, right? I'd rather just use SMH because we have levels for that. Does SMH looks similar to this? Yeah. We're going to do the analysis for socks on SMH just because we actually have critical levels for that if you're interested. I'll give them to you. This is a newly added stock to the list. SMH or ETF, whatever you want to call it. This plain and simple has vomited early on in the month. So which direction, at least for the time being, till we see some kind of reverse around? Well, which monthly expected move are we likely to tag? Probably that one, right? At least the 30-minute would say, hey, wouldn't we do something like this, this, this? And if I make a divergence there, wouldn't I like that? And then say, hey, the 2 hour is going to curl up. Oh, maybe I watch for a lower high. And the other thing we probably need to consider here is the daily chart with the divergences. Triple divergence here. So if we don't figure it out at this monthly expected move, but instead we break that low, you're looking for a counter move that probably fails. So these are some bad signals. That means that very likely you can still, extend. We can easily see that this is not a lower low yet. If we could turn up on the daily chart, we can extend. But if we hold this in any way, when we fall again, you're just getting closer and closer to the center line. Either way, if I was looking at this from hey, I'm someone that waits for the great opportunities and just, buys at good points on weekly charts, I would just say, if I'm not planning on doing options and really trading back and forth and making all those plans, I would just say this area is risky. I would rather see a pullback down like this on the weekly scale. I would rather just see this by the center line and curl to the upside. That would be the much easier way to look at this, right? Just really makes it easy. You're like, hey, this is complex. How can I simplify it? Oh, well, a weekly pullback looks pretty nice. If I want to take some kind of play for downside, well, then that play is probably on right now, right? If I'm saying I'm 8 weeks out in my option and I took that right over here, and then the 2 hour probably confirmed up, and I said, oh, I got to get out of that for just a moment right here. and then it drops back down, and I go, okay, I'm right back in. Then now you're just looking for the target of like down here to be hit, right? Or you're looking for the daily to just flush, right? You're just looking to hold this all throughout the turmoil and get down to here by like end of the summer. Overall, though, that all goes wrong if you carve out a higher low and just curl up over here. So that's why we're looking at the 2-hour chart. If the 2-hour chart curls up, though, you know, you're overall in downtrend right now. Yeah, it's not set in stone here that this is like going to just come back and curl to the upside. I think you would like to see this happen before you really consider doing anything for upside. I think you would really like to see something like this happen as well. And you don't know if this is going to set up. That's why waiting for confirmation is a very important thing. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's just which indice at which time do they want to do something with? Now you're going to see, like, this is why I keep mentioning IWM, because now you could see, hey, the SPY needs to go higher, right? Like, hey, we need the SPY to go a little higher, right? The daily scale. Like, hey, if we need the SPY to go to a little higher, where can we pull that money from? Well, we can't really pull it from semiconductors. They're kind of leading this charge still a little bit. We can't really pull it from there. We probably want money to flow into there. Okay, so if we want money to flow into there, maybe we could take it from somewhere else. Maybe we could take it from IWM. Maybe we could take it from DIA. Maybe we could take it from IWM, right? Maybe we could take that money from IWM, let the SPY go to the upside, then we're just going to rip it all away, and then IWM can get a bounce with that rip away and then roll with the market. Then they both are rolling kind of at the same time. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. I don't think any of that's like really that helpful or set in stone. I do think watching for something like this is helpful. But all right, guys, I did stay on just a little bit extra here. I appreciate you guys being here for today. Remember that second standard deviation sitting at about 753. If you are 0 DTE, that is your 95% line, one of the best resistance levels that you will get on the upside. So that is where decisions will definitely need to be made. They will still bring it down. Yeah. The computer you're considering leasing is that which available between trains different models. They're actually more computed. Chips lead down. Once eventually fall off chips. Well, yeah, if chips lead down. Hey, not Nile Nil, thank you so much for that. But yeah, if chips are consistently in the downward direction, you're very unlikely. Well, that's where the weird stuff can happen. Remember, we've talked about this like years ago. These little things, which is good. It's like, hey, let's just take the mag. Let's take the mag 7. Okay, well, this way, right? If 5 stocks are heading down, but 2 stocks are heading up, and these are heading up by 3%, and these are heading down by like 2%. And depending on the size of these versus the size of these, the market can just stay flat or even go up. So this is literally a game that's always taking place. We just don't talk about it. But it's like, yeah, literally 2 stocks can hold up the market, which is freaking wild, by the way. Like the way AVGO, the way Apple's doing right now is like Apple can hold up this market by itself right now. Yeah, truly, Apple can hold it up. All right, guys, but I do have to hop off. We will be back live tomorrow. So any questions that you do have, write them down. Anything like that for tomorrow. We will talk further about stocks in the morning. I most likely will have a YouTube video up tonight if you want those daily expected moves. And we will have a live show in the morning tomorrow. I think tomorrow might be a short day for me, but it might be the long one. I have to double check. It's one of these next 2 days will be a decently short stream. But overall, I thank you guys for being here. If today at all was confusing, you can check some of the material down in the description if you want to learn throughout your summer. It should only take a few days, and then you can come back and ask plenty of questions. So thank you again, guys, for joining me today. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Not spending it inside all the time. I'm looking outside right now and I'm going, it's beautiful out there. Maybe I need to get my butt to the gym for the first time in a month. I actually went to the gym on Friday for the first time like in a month because of my girl's cast. I am being ripped apart by my muscles right now. I worked out too hard. Anyway, guys, go do something fun, get some good food in you. Don't just stare at stocks all day, but make sure that if you are making decisions that they are good ones with 3 to 5 reasons behind them, and make sure to have a plan for if it goes wrong. That means you're just trading like water. All right, guys, have a good one. Peace out. Oh yeah, we're going to have SMH on the weekly expected moves pretty much from now on. So if you want those weekly levels every week, Patreon's down there. All right, guys, I seriously, I gotta get out of here. I gotta stop reading. All right, later, bros. Later, bros.